Yeah, it was a really proud moment. There was a lot of emotions on the day in Portland, and just unbelievably proud of the group, of the players, of the staff, of everyone who contributed so much that we were able to lift the trophy and bring a trophy back to New York and be able to celebrate with our fans. Was a really special moment. The whole of the playoffs really were an incredible few weeks for us. I think we had a group of staff and players that were just operating at the absolute maximum level, from preparation to organisation to game plan, and then ultimately to execution on the day. That was really special, and something special for me to watch. And I think we're so proud of. I'm so proud of everybody involved in that process, and it was for sure the best moment of my career, and I'm really looking forward to having more of those with NYCFC. I think I was also incredibly proud for Ronnie. I think he's had an unbelievable 2 years since he joined us, and has really helped to take our group and our team and our club to that next level where we're able to compete for an MLS Cup trophy. I think 2020 was such a difficult season because COVID and the bubble and goodness knows all the other things that we went through during that time. But I think the group and the team that we saw really epitomised what Ronnie's been preaching since he arrived about the environment and the culture that we know goes into trying to make a team win. And I think so I was really pleased for Ronnie. He works so incredibly hard, and I'm very lucky that he's our head coach, and he's somebody I get to work with so closely every day. And I couldn't have been prouder to see him lift the trophy and strip down to his underwear as he promised, and do those push-ups with the trophy in the background. Yeah, I mean, they were unbelievably important in every game. I think from the home game in Atlanta was a fantastic environment, and all throughout the season we know it's not been the easiest with different venues and different places to play, but they've always been so supportive of the team and everyone involved. And the fact we were able to bring a trophy home for them and to celebrate with them at City Hall and do all the things, and the players and the fans that were in Portland as well, was a really special part of the whole experience for us and us as a club. They've waited like we have for that moment to celebrate, and so to be able to give that to them was an amazing achievement. All throughout the playoffs, they were unbelievable. We had so many fans there in New England. We've been to the Eastern Conference semi-final so many times, and to win that penalty shootout and have that celebration with them, and then in Philadelphia, and then obviously in Portland as well. They traveled so well, we could always hear them, and I know they helped to spur on the players. And as we look to 2022, they're going to have an even bigger role and even more importance for us, because we're going to need them again. There's going to be so many challenges we're going to face. Every team that we're going to play is always going to want to beat the champions, and so we're going to need to make sure that we keep our home venues a fortress and make them really difficult to play, as they have been for the last 5 or 6 years. And that will give us a foundation to really go on and have the type of season that we want to. Yeah, it's a good question. So I think the reality of our market is there's probably no one perfect location for our academy, given the size and the scope of the New York region and where we recruit players from. I'm always pretty blown away that at the start of every academy season we look at where the players are coming from. We have players driving from far into Connecticut, from the Jersey Shore, from all over the region to come to St. John's and train with our academy. And I think it's testament to the fantastic work that the academy does to recruit those players and make it an environment that players and parents want to have their kids involved in. It's an enormous commitment from players and parents, and I think we shouldn't ever lose sight of that. There's a huge amount of travel, a huge amount of sacrifice that everybody has to make. And I think our job is to make sure that when those players are with us at St. John's, that we're ready to help give them the best hour and a half, 2 hours of training they can have to really maximize their potential. So there's a lot of work going on about what the future might look like for our academy and locations and all those things. And I spent a lot of time thinking about that and trying to work on that. But I think there's no immediate answers right now. I think we're delighted with the relationship we have with St. John's. It's proven to be a really fantastic place for our academy to grow, and look at all the players that we managed to develop from there. So we know it's a really good place for us, but we're constantly looking to improve. So adding people, adding staff, adding expertise into our academy to make sure that we're at the forefront of player development in the United States is a core goal of mine and of ours, and we'll do everything we can to make sure that the players that we're producing and developing can play at the very highest level. It would be fantastic if we could have an environment where players are able to combine football with education. I think there's some real benefits to that. I think we've got to look at what that looks like in the future, but for now I think we're really happy with what we've got, and we're looking and exploring about what the future might look like for NYCFC in youth development. think it would be naive to think that if we remained exactly the same as last year, that we would be able to have the same success. Every other team is trying to beat us to try and win the trophy this year, and so we have to raise our game and we have to improve. And obviously roster changes are one of those, but we made a lot of changes behind the scenes as well, from new staff, new roles we're looking to bring in. There'll be more changes throughout the year as well. And on the plane home from Portland, I sat with Ronnie for maybe 30 minutes and we were talking about all the things we wanted to improve and change and get better. And I think that's the mindset of the group that we have. I think the one major big change for us this year is having NYCFC 2. And so the addition of MLS Next Pro and what that will give to our team in terms of our player development and opportunity to get players minutes, to help get them ready for first team football, is a massive shift for us. Come with challenges, some logistical, operational challenges that we'll have to navigate, but something I'm really excited for, and that's a real big change for our organisation and something that I know will help set us up for success. The difference between success and failure in MLS is so small. The league is built on parity, and ultimately, if we have a drop in performance level of even a few percent, that can be the difference between first and sixth or first and seventh. And so we have to make sure that we're ready to go for the first game of the season, and we put up performances that we know will help us achieve the results that we want. Yeah, so we'd had some conversations with James when he renewed his contract, and we always knew kind of coming into January there was a very good chance that he would depart. And so it was really sitting down with him and assessing what options that both he and we had and we felt was right for James. And what I say is Rangers were probably the most committed and certainly the earliest in wanting to commit to James. They had a really clear plan for him and pathway of what they wanted him to do over the 18 months while he's on loan there, and I think that really appealed to him. And so when it came down to us, then it was about trying to find a situation that benefited New York as well. And losing James isn't easy. He was a fantastic player for us and has been a key part of our team for a number of years, but we felt like it was a good opportunity for James and a good opportunity for the club too. The way that we're looking at this at the moment is he's obviously gone on loan for 18 months. He has a good chance to develop and potentially be purchased by them at the end of the loan period, in which case he will have grown his value significantly through playing for Rangers. And if not, and if that loan ends, then we get a fantastic player coming back into our team in 2023, which will help our team at that point. So I think it's a beneficial deal all round, and gives James an opportunity, as most young players, to try and play at the highest level they can and take that next step in his career. And I think we're all following and wishing him the absolute best, because he deserves it. He's one of the best professionals we've had, first homegrown player, and such a huge success story for us that we just can't wait to replicate with more and more players as we get more academy players into our first team. I think it's no surprise that there's been a lot of interest in Tati, and rightly so. He deserves it based on his performance levels, particularly over the last 12 months, but really his development since he signed for us. Last season he was one of the best players in MLS, won the Golden Boot, best 11, and was a real talisman for our team, scoring goals in the playoffs, really important goals for us throughout the end of the season and in the playoffs and throughout the whole season. And so it's no surprise that we knew we were going to go into January and have some interest and some offers for Tati from clubs all over the world. And ultimately, we went through that market and we decided that we didn't feel there was an offer that we felt at that point was right for us as a football club to take. And given Tati's value to us and the opportunities that we felt were in the market for him, we didn't think those were right. And Tati deserves a lot of credit. It's not the easiest thing to deal with as a 23-year-old going through this, and after the season he had, and he's been nothing but professional and hugely impactful already this season, as we've seen in the Champions League game. And we're fully expecting that we'll have more interest as Tati continues to perform and play well for us and score goals for New York. I'm sure in the next markets we'll see more interest for him as well. And as those opportunities come in, we'll evaluate them. And if there's an opportunity that we think is right, then we'll look to proceed with that. And I'm sure that will come. I'm absolutely positive it will. Tati's a fantastic person, a fantastic player, and will deserve any opportunities that he gets in the coming markets. I think it's a mixture of both. I think we try and build a roster that has experience, youth, development, seniority, leadership, all the different aspects that we believe go into making a roster complete and able to compete for trophies. So I think we've already seen, the one player we signed this offseason, not necessarily from Europe, but from Japan and from Brazil, Thiago Martins, peak stage of his career, ready to come in and we think be a real foundational piece for us over the coming years. I think we're also really excited about signing young players and developing them. I think we see from the growth of a player like Tati and James and Andres and Tavon and all the young players that we've developed over the last years. It's been a really core part of what we do. And I think mixing that with the kind of experience, leadership, and those players that are in the prime age of their career, like we've had with Sean, Maxime, Alex, Maxi Morales, Alfredo. I think we've tried to do a mixture of that in every off-season. And I think that will be the basis for what we want to be moving forward as well. But I think we have a big focus on player development, both from our academy and from signing young players from overseas. And my job is to try and manage both of those aspects so that we can develop those young players and compete for titles. And I think the makeup of our roster will always have a little bit of both. And I think we're out in the marketplace looking for both profiles. We try and go through the same sort of process no matter what type of player we're trying to bring in. We're trying to assess their impact in the team, the value that they'll bring and their performance level that we expect them to achieve when they're in New York. I think maybe when they're a DP, obviously that due diligence may ratchet up a notch or two, but the reality is a DP spot is a mechanism to improve your roster, and there are many of those. And so I think the best teams find ways to maximize all of the different ways that you can improve your roster, whether that's DPs, under 22s, homegrowns, the draft, all those different elements. If you can really maximize every single one of those, you're going to build the strongest roster. And I think Thiago is very quickly at the top of our list. We feel like he epitomizes the type of player that we want to bring. 26, he's entering the perfect stage of his career to be a foundational player for us and our club and help improve the team. He's strong, he's quick, he's very good on the ball. I think he'll help take our team to another level when he gets acclimated and he's at his peak. But it's a player we're really excited by. I'm thrilled he's decided to join us. It was also a really big ambition for him to have someone who really wants to be here like Thiago is something that we're all really pleased about, and I'm looking forward to the fans getting to meet him and getting to see him play, because I think we've got a really good player who's going to make our team better. Of course, DPs, there's always a lot of focus on DPs, and rightly so. They're players who make the difference and add a lot of value to the team. But I think we've really focused on trying to build a strong squad and have a roster that we think can compete and has a balance and a togetherness and an environment that we think is conducive to success in MLS. And we've spent a lot of time and energy to try and make sure we've got that right. And ultimately, I think last season showed we've managed to do a good job of piecing that roster together, and hopefully that sets the benchmark of what we're expecting in 2022 and all the years to come. I think we've got to replicate some of the things that we took from our playoff run. It's knockout tournament format. Okay, it's a home and away leg, so it's slightly different than the one and done that we had in the playoffs. But throughout the playoffs, we really focused on our performances. We didn't focus on results. We focused on how can we perform at our absolute best. We really can't control the result all that much. There's so many factors that go into that, including luck, referees, so many different things. But ultimately, we can have much more control over our performance level. And I think we have a group that if we can get the best performances at the right moments, that I think we can be a challenge for any team that we may come up against. I think we've got a roster that's built to compete with any team in our region. We know it's difficult. No team from MLS that's ever won Champions League before. We build squads and build rosters, and we surround the players with support staff that we believe can help us compete for Champions League, for MLS Cup, for Supporters Shields, for Open Cup, Campeones Cup. I want to see us compete for as many of those as we can. It's going to be demanding, it's going to be challenging throughout the year, but I think we've got a group that we really believe in and feel strongly about. I think we have a team that's built for that, and I think as long as we focus on maximising our performance level, then I think we stand a good chance to advance in the competition, and hopefully that results in getting to a final and then hopefully another trophy. I think there's quite a few games that I'm excited for. I am really excited for Campeones Cup. I think that's a real special game, collaboration between Liga MX and MLS. We experienced a little bit of that with Leagues Cup last year against Pumas, and it was a fantastic occasion. And so I'm really looking forward to that game. I think always the derby games are exciting, and we know we didn't have the best performances or results that we really wanted to last year, but we know the atmosphere of those games is fantastic, particularly as we've got crowds back in 2021 after 2020, and so that's something I think we're all really excited for. But for now, I think all focus is on LA Galaxy this weekend and trying to make sure we get the season off into a good start as we can. Very difficult, fantastic opponent, great roster, really good team, well coached. We know it's going to be a really difficult game, but hopefully between LA Galaxy and Vancouver, the first 2 away games of the season, we can have a positive start and set us up for a good year.